So Virat Kohli was right then. He had said that Indians are used to playing back-to-back days, and so it shouldn't really matter that they are playing Sri Lanka soon afterwards.
Absolutely. Also what really helped India was the fact that when they did play Pakistan, Ketki, they managed to bowl them out in just 32 overs. So they didn't have to stay on the field for too long, which meant that they were not very tired, but they, at the end of the day, of course, had to play 3 back-to-back days of cricket.
Okay, so a low-scoring match, but India is through to the finals. But even in that win, Akash, some lessons for India?
Absolutely, lots of lessons, Ketki, because this particular match, I don't think too many people expected the script to be written in this way, especially after India pulled off that massive 228-run win against Pakistan. Because going into the Asia Cup, India and Pakistan, everyone said these two are the best teams, and rightly so. Even if you look at the ODI rankings, the ICC rankings, Sri Lanka currently ranked at number 8. But the way they pushed India in this match, it was really, really commendable, which really made a lot of people think that perhaps Sri Lanka can go all the way and play the final against India as well. As far as this particular match is concerned, the way they stopped India using their spinners, this very good famed Indian batting lineup that did so well against Pakistan and put up a mammoth score, that folded for just 213. It was an underwhelming, under par performance by the Indian batters. There's no doubt about that. And what really saved them was the fact that their bowlers came to the party. Kuldeep Yadav, once again, fantastic. He took 5 against Pakistan, and against Sri Lanka, he took 4. Hardik Pandya bowled really well. From the batting perspective, I think the only sort of silver lining as such was the fact that Rohit Sharma is continuing his good form. He scored back-to-back 50s now. 53 is what he made against Sri Lanka. Ishan Kishan and KL Rahul also, yes, good signs there. Both of them are in form. KL, of course, coming back into the team, scored that magnificent century against Pakistan, and he scored 39 in this match against Sri Lanka as well. But having said that, if India do play Sri Lanka again in the final, they will have to be very, very careful against the Sri Lankan spinners. Now, they are the ones who really made the Indian batters dance to their tunes. The likes of 20-year-old Dunit Velalage. Standout performance by him. It wasn't just him. The kind of pressure that the Sri Lankans managed to put on the Indian batters using spin very, very effectively in the middle overs, that is something the Team India need to be wary of now that they have secured the final berth and might just play Sri Lanka again.
And tell us a little bit about Dunit, because you talked about him as just being someone who's just 20. And
Yes.
what a massive opportunity for him, and
Yes.
that too against a country like India.
Absolutely. Now, Dunit Velalage is, of course, a name that the entire world, barring Sri Lankans, of course, are reading about and Googling and trying to find out more about today, because India has now, been rattled by this 20-year-old. But he is someone who the Sri Lankans and those, of course, in the cricketing fraternity have known for a while, even though he's just 20 years old. And that is because he started showing signs of, great maturity at a very early age as a cricketer. He has cricket in his blood. His father was a wicketkeeper batter, played some cricket. But Dunit is the one who's really, made the family name shine, because he went on to represent Sri Lanka on the international stage. He was the captain for Sri Lanka in the Under-19 World Cup, where he finished, in fact, as the highest wicket taker. But what we need to remember about this young man is the fact that he's not just a spin bowler. He's a very, very competent batter as well. In fact, he is a genuine all-rounder. From what we are hearing from the Sri Lankan cricketing fraternity. Even in the match against India, where Sri Lanka went down fighting, he did score 40 plus unbeaten against India, apart from taking, of course, the 5 wickets that he took. So he is somebody who has the goods at a very young age. Of course, he's still somewhat of a rough cut diamond, and he needs to be polished a little bit more. We have seen how in the past other Sri Lankan spinners have suddenly burst onto the scene and rattled the best batsmen in the world, including Indian batters. Someone like Ajanta Mendis comes to mind. But here's someone who is perhaps someone who can be a real torchbearer for Sri Lankan cricket in years to come, and perhaps, hopefully, will have a very long and successful career. And it's really good, Ketki, to see someone like this come out and play cricket like this for a team like Sri Lanka, because this is a team that at one time really used to be very, very good on the world stage. Remember, they are the 1996 ODI World Cup champions. But then they did have, a sort of a downward spiral. But it's good to see people like Dunit stepping up to the plate, because that only means good things for Sri Lanka in years to come.
And with India securing its place as one of the finalists, the question then is, what are the possibilities and who could be the other finalists?
What will the final clash look like? Well, most fans, of course, across the world, barring those in Sri Lanka, will, I am assuming, want an India-Pakistan match again. Remember, we were promised at least 2, if not 3, India-Pakistan matches in this edition of the Asia Cup. One in the group stage, one in the Super Fours, and then one potentially in the final. Now, the first one was, it wasn't washed out fully, but there was a no result, right? No one really won that match. The second one is when India won. So we've had only one. So a lot of people, of course, wanting Pakistan to go into the final again for India-Pakistan clash. But as I mentioned, you cannot count out the Sri Lankans. Now, as things stand right now, there are 2 matches to go in the Asia Cup before the final is played. Now, the Pakistan versus Sri Lanka match is going to be a virtual semi-final. Because if you look at the points table, India, of course, already through with a very, very good net run rate and 4 points. Sri Lanka and Pakistan both on 2 points each. So only one team can go up to 4 points. So only one team will, of course, go and play the final against India. And that will be the team that wins this match between Sri Lanka and Pakistan. But having said that, don't forget that the Sri Lankan weather, the weather in Colombo, cannot be counted out, because we have seen a lot of rain in Colombo over pretty much every match that's been played there. And there is again forecast for rain. I think about 73% chance of precipitation with thunderstorms for Thursday when Pakistan plays Sri Lanka. So what happens if there is a no result there? What happens then is that Sri Lanka go through to the final, because if you look at the points table, Sri Lanka have a better net run rate than Pakistan. So they go through if there is a no result on by virtue of the NRR. And it's no surprise that Pakistan's net run rate is well below Sri Lanka's because of that thrashing that India handed to them, which was 228 runs. So Pakistan's net run rate not very good at all.
All right, so India sitting comfortably at least in that slot of the final and watching very keenly what happens in the next 2 days.